squared. It's going to be amazing. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So one of the great things about today's day and age is that you can get to content you want through so many different ways. You have different websites, different platforms, different devices. You could use a Facebook app, or you could use a different app. You could use a PC, or you could use a mobile phone. And that's great for us as users, but it is really complicating for us as developers. So to help us figure out how Facebook Analytics can simplify measurement, I'd like to welcome Josh Twist up to stage.
Thanks, Dave. Wow. So yeah, I'm Josh. I'm the product manager on Facebook Analytics, and I am thrilled to be here. This is my second F8, but my first time presenting, and I'm very excited. Look at this room. I'm very excited to tell you fine folks about some of the awesome work the team based in Seattle that works on Facebook Analytics, which is actually a bunch of us sat down here. Hey, guys. Yeah, woo! I've been working on to bring to F8 and announce today. Before I start, so you got to know me. I want to get to know you guys a little bit. So do you want to go first? You're going to go for it. Oh, my, I'm going to give you a T-shirt. That's awesome. I'm just winding up. No, let's just do a little question. That was a terrible dad joke, wasn't it? Let's just do a little question for the audience. How many people here use analytics, not necessarily Facebook Analytics, on a regular basis? Like, show of hands, how many people? A good number. And then second question, and instead of showing hands, let's show by clapping for this one. How many people use Facebook? I hope there's a lot of claps. How many people use Facebook Analytics? Oh, that's pretty good. That pleases me. So I've got two audiences here. One who I think is going to be delighted with the new features that we're rolling out and you can use today that's already using the product. And all of you new people who've not used Facebook Analytics and will hopefully see a ton of value in what we have for you today. Now, before I get started, I want to address this question. It's the most common question I get asked about Facebook Analytics, and that is, why do we do this? Why is Josh stood here talking about Facebook Analytics and this product that we give to our business partners for free? It comes down to one word, and that's growth. Facebook has seen firsthand the power of data-driven decision-making in driving product growth. And it's a hard case to dismiss. With 1.8 billion monthly active users and a company culture that is built on data-driven decision-making, there's a good chance we're onto something with this. And that's why it's so exciting to share these tools, the techniques, and even the infrastructure that Facebook Analytics is built on is the same infrastructure that we use for analytics internally. We know that product market fit is about finding those moments of friction in your product. Those moments of friction where some customers get caught up and don't convert and don't complete a process. Or even better, finding those aha moments, those moments of delight that just a small percentage of your audience is experiencing today, but when they do, they're so much more likely to be retained and stay around. And then, once you've identified that aha moment, if you can move more customers to enjoy that experience, your product is going to grow. That's why we do this, and that's why it's so exciting for the team to be here talking with you guys today. So what I want to do, we've got a few things I want to achieve with the session today. Obviously, a big one is talk about the new features that we're launching at F8 today. We'll get to that in a little bit. I also want to spend a little bit of time doing a recap of the core product that we've had in market for about 2 years now, especially for the rest of you that are not using Facebook Analytics right now. And we'll take a look at the product, and I bet even some of the people that do use it will see some new features in there that you didn't know we'd released just recently. But before we do that, I want to kind of wind the clock back even further and talk about behavioral digital analytics and its kind of history getting here. And if we go back maybe 30 years, you can imagine a primordial soup of perhaps Windows desktop applications that had somehow managed to find a way to send some signal back to base so somebody could do some analytics. But in truth, this really only took off with the web, once the web hit scale 25 years ago. And thanks to the HTTP stack and the way HTTP works, we could actually easily build a rudimentary web analytics solution just using the web logs, thanks to things like URLs, cookies, and even referrers that would tell me where someone had come from to my site. So we could easily build analytics this way. But they were URL-centric. The URL was kind of king in this world. It told me where the user was, and it doesn't translate to many of today's modern web experiences where I build rich JavaScript applications, and the URL doesn't tell me everything I need to know. So this wave of analytics, this first wave, was URL-centric. It was session-based, and it was based on cookies. That was how we counted things, sessions and cookies. That was the unit of currency. And some solutions are still built this way today. But then 10 years ago, something happened. Mobile exploded, and the mobile app ecosystem became a thing. And apps aren't built the same way. The architecture is different. They don't rely on URLs. And that pushed analytics in a different direction, which I think personally was a much better direction, where developers had to log deliberate signal when a user did something. When a user performs an action, now I have to log something. And that means those insights, those events, we call it event-based analytics, are much more meaningful. They have more meaning than just a URL. But the unit of currency in this world, of course, was the device. Cookies weren't a thing either. So I tended to measure things with devices. I think we're on the verge of a third wave of analytics that's going to solve some of the problems implicit in the prior two waves I just discussed. And one is, if you think about the modern consumer, and I'm living this right now. I'm actually trying to book a vacation for me and my family. We'll probably go back to Europe in the summer. And I spend a bunch of time on, I'm not going to give someone free advertising, but imagine insert name of large travel website here. I go onto this website on my desktop, on my laptop machine, and then I use the app on mobile. And I'll do this for a number of weeks before I actually commit to a transaction and make a purchase. But that transaction, that user behavior, includes all of those channels, all of those experiences. If you believe, like we do, that growth comes from understanding user behavior and understanding user identity, then you have to consider the whole picture of that customer's experience. The modern business does business with its customers and its consumers over many, many channels. So I think analytics needs to become people-centric, not device-centric, not session-centric, but actually counting people, and needs to be unsiloed in terms of allowing users of analytics to look across the different channels that their business presents. But there's another problem that I think Wave 3 will address as well, and that's just the sheer volume of data. So all of this software is eating the world, is a famous saying. As it does so, it is spewing out vast amounts of data that's impossible for an analytics person to keep up with at this point. There's so much value and so many insights locked into this data, but we don't have the time to find it. So how can we create a platform that up-levels the productivity of its users? We think that's part of the third wave. And we think the features we're announcing today at F8 are the first steps in this third wave of analytics. So we'll get to those in a minute. But before we do, let's take a look at the product that we have in market right now. So I'm going to take you on a little tour through some of my favorite features. I can't cover them all. There's a ton of capabilities in this product. So go and check out the docs afterwards. What I want to do now is give you kind of a sneak peek, a bit of a taster, if you will. Let's start with a growth model. So most businesses these days are starting to think about a growth model. And every business, the cornerstone of a growth model is a goal, something I am trying to achieve for my business. Maybe that is adoption. Maybe you're trying to drive active usage. So for example, if you're a social application, maybe you care about daily active usage, and that's how you're going to goal your business. If you're an insurance app, you probably don't expect, or maybe even don't want, people using your app every day. So maybe you care about monthly active usage. Maybe you care about something completely different, a more engaged transaction like sharing or posting or making a purchase. Maybe that's how you think about your goals, or revenue. The key thing is to have a goal, set it appropriately for your business, and then have great tools to help you measure the baseline and then understand the changes in trends and where those changes are coming from. What is the component parts of those changes? And of course, we have all of these tools in Facebook Analytics. So let me show you in this video just a few of the reports. So here we're looking at our active users screen. I can easily see my monthly, weekly, and daily active users. I switch to unique users. I want to take an hourly view at this point and see that super fine-grained spikiness of the week. And now I'm going to split this chart by channel. So here I can see all the different channels that my users are coming from. In this case, I think we have a bunch of Android, iOS, and other mobile. Maybe you care about engagement, how long people spend in your app. So here we're showing you the average session time, and then I'm switching to the total time spent. All of these baseline measures that you'd want to measure for your business are available in Facebook Analytics, and it's super easy to use, and you can split all of these charts in that same way by any parameter that's in the system. Now, when we think about growth, we often think about customer acquisition, acquiring new customers, and of course, that's a critical part of growth. But if you think about your product as a bathtub, and you're pouring new users, new people into that bathtub, and you don't plug the drain, then they're just going to leak straight out. No matter how fast you pour that water in there, you're never going to fill the bathtub. That's why retention is a super important part of your growth model, being able to retain and keep users. And so we have great retention charts built in. Let me explain this for you in case you're unfamiliar with retention charts. What you have on screen here we call a J-curve. And it starts over on the left, and it tells you how many people that used my app from the point they first used it in that first week. That sounds a bit weird and a bit complicated. What it means is that number is always going to be 100%. 100% of people that use my app the first time use it that week. But then what happens 1 week later? You can see it drops pretty sharply to about 50%. And then slowly over time, by about week 10, is plateauing. This is a classic feature of a retention curve. It plateaus to around 18.9% here, about 19%. You can think of that number as your total capturable market. If you were to pour all of the people in the world into your bath, unless you improve this retention, you're not keeping any more than 20% of them. So it's critical you monitor this, you understand this, and you watch how it's changing over time. And to help you monitor that over time, we actually have a great feature called Cohorts that gives you a row-by-row view. Let me show you this by zooming in down the bottom here. What this shows me is a weekly view here, and we can switch this to monthly or daily, again, depending on your preference for your business. A weekly view of new customers that came in, how well those customers were retained. And see how it slides down over time. What I want to see is this chart getting darker as we go towards the bottom, because that means I'm more effectively retaining my users. In this case, it's actually getting lighter, so maybe I've got a problem here. Maybe I need to investigate this and see if I can improve my retention. Now, I mentioned that maybe you don't care about people visiting your product. You care about it, of course, but maybe it's not your most important goal. Maybe you're more interested in posting or sharing or purchases. Then, of course, with our behavioral cohorts capability, we allow you to choose the events that you analyze retention for. So in this case, we're looking at retention for people who installed an app to making a purchase. And you can see on week 0, in the first week of install, about 5%, I think it is here, actually went on to make a purchase. And notice how that's dropping, and we haven't even found our plateau at this point in this particular example curve. But now I can see the retention of my purchases, so very, very valuable tools. And if you have a value associated with your event, you can actually associate a value with any event in Facebook Analytics. But in this case, we're looking at purchase, so the value is usually USD, is US dollars. We can actually switch to cumulative value mode, which allow me to easily see the average lifetime value as weeks progress for the users of my product. And we even have the same cohorts view underneath, so I can see how that's improving. Am I better at monetizing my users as time moves forward? Are my initiatives making things look better or making things look worse? Now, every product is full of processes. That is, processes that we expect people to move through. So it might be your registration flow, it might be your sharing flow, it may be your add to cart, the kind of classic checkout flow. They're everywhere in a product. And the best way to monitor these and understand them is in a funnel. And a funnel is basically a chain of events. You can set it up in our tool, and we'll show you the conversion through those processes. But we actually realize that funnels are a more powerful tool than that. Don't think of them as just for processes. They allow you to answer the question, how many people that did X went on to do Y? Very powerful way of assessing what your users are doing. And we wanted to make our tool the best at this kind of ad hoc analysis. So let me show you just how easy it is to use and build funnels based on your events. So I choose my event. Here I'm going to do a search. And then I'm going to choose purchase. And then I'm going to choose add to cart. And the smart amongst you will realize my funnel is in the wrong order. No problem. I just drag this guy over, drop him into the middle, hit apply, and boom, there is my conversion for the checkout process. More than that, I can actually split this and do a pivot based on any of the dimensions in the system. So here we're looking at conversion by app version. And what I want to see here, hopefully, is that later versions of my app are converting more effectively. All of the dimensions that we support are available in here, including channel, including demographics. Very, very powerful tool. I have some more stories about our funnel tool I'll tell later in the session. Now, this, I think, is one of our most empowering features. This is Facebook Analytics' amazing demographics. We can share with you the demographics based on the self-reported data of Facebook's users for users of your product. Now, obviously, privacy and user privacy is always priority 0 at Facebook. So we'll only share this with you in an anonymized and aggregated way if you're looking at a big enough audience. But if you are looking at an audience of over 100 people, we'll show you really detailed demographics that have been anonymized and aggregated. Now, this is gold dust to product and marketing people. Let me tell you one of my favorite conversations I had with a user of Facebook Analytics and how they deployed our demographic tools. So they built an app. They launched it, and they saw hockey stick growth. Very excited. It was great. They were super excited. But then they didn't realize they didn't know who their users were. So they integrated Facebook Analytics. Actually, it takes a few minutes, just a few lines of code. I'll show you some examples later. And then instantly, once they deployed that new version of their app, they were able to see the demographic of their audience. And they were in for a surprise. They didn't design the app this way, but they found the app was skewing heavily female. Wow. They didn't know this. But they had a decision to make now. Do we double down and make this app and kind of really go after that female audience? Or do we try and balance the app and go after the male audience? They wouldn't even know this was how their product market fit looked if they weren't able to use our tools. So they made the decision, actually, to focus on the female audience. That was how they revved and improved their app over the next few months. And once they reached saturation in that market, they decided to try and reach the male market and made a more balanced version of their app. They couldn't have done any of this. They couldn't have measured the impact of their initiatives without the amazing tools in Facebook Analytics. Now, we could do much more than just show gender and age groups and country and city and language and this kind of more standard stuff. We can actually give you detailed demographic information like job titles, education level, relationship status, so that you can really get a deep understanding of who the users of your mobile app, your website, your bot, your Facebook page, etc., all of these products, who these people are using these tools. We can even tell you what pages on Facebook they like. This is amazing, because we've had a number of customers use this in ways we wouldn't have predicted. Let me give you an example. One customer actually used this to identify strategic partners that they could form a partnership with. They found a bunch of pages that were non-competitive with their business, but would be great partners, and were able to reach out with them and form partnerships. Stuff that can really change the life and growth of your product. OK, so onto what I think is probably they're all my favorite features, but this one I really love. And this is our universal segmentation tool. So what this allows me to do is drill into a specific audience based on any of the data that we hold about them. So I can basically create a query or a filter that defines an audience based on their demographic or based on behavior. They looked at a piece of content 6 times, and then zoom into any of the reports I just showed you just for that audience and do comparisons. So let me show you this in action. So we're going to create a segment. I simply go up to the segment control at the top. This is at the top of most of our reports. I'm going to choose a condition, in this case, a demographic. I'm going to go for age. I want to just look at people aged 25 to 34. I'm going to add another condition. In this case, I'm going to go for something about the device. I think I'm going to look at Android devices. And I can go and look and compare how the users of this, how audience that looks like this, people that use Android devices in this age category, compare against other users. So very, very powerful stuff for drilling in and understanding who your users are and the performance of your top users. One of the features we have in segmentation is actually the ability to look at your top 10% of any behavior, top 10% of purchases, and zoom into that audience and see their demographic. So now not only are you understanding who your users are, you're able to understand who your best performing users are. And here we're looking at the comparison feature. So I click the little compare link, and we actually have 2 segments side by side here, and are comparing the 2 lines for these 2 audiences. One is every user in the system, and the other is Android users aged 25 to 34. So pretty amazing stuff. Now, let me tell you about the history of the product for a second. We launched 2 F8s ago. So it's come an awful long way since then, in April 2015. But that was for mobile apps only. And recently, in September last year, we launched web support in beta. So now, using your Facebook Pixel, if you already have one deployed, or using the JavaScript SDK, you can actually get measurement for your websites as well. And then in November, in beta, we launched support for bots. So if you have a Messenger bot, you don't even have to write any code here, and we'll give you analytics based on the messages sent and the messages received, and all of these capabilities light up for you. We went an extra step, though, and made this what we think is one of the best cross-platform tools in the market. By combining these properties, your web, your bot, and your mobile app, into a thing called an event source group, you could now see analytics across all of those properties and join together and union. So you're getting accurate user counts because we understand who those users are across those different platforms. Now, we launched this just a few weeks ago out of beta and into general availability. So this was a big moment for the team as we really reached the maturity of our cross-platform solution. And I thought that today we should celebrate this. And I thought we should celebrate it by taking a little bit of a risk and doing a live demo. I know. And I thought actually we'd amp it up even a little bit more. This is a big audience now. I'm pretty scared. I thought we'd do it with audience involvement as well, make it like an 11 out of 10. So who's game to take part, all of you, to take part in a live demo and probably break my little server, actually? Awesome. OK, a few people are putting hands up. I'm going to assume the rest of you are just shy. OK, so let's do the live demo. Here's the way this works, folks. You are going to vote on my next profile picture on Facebook. You're going to see some pictures, and you get a choice. You can do this in a messenger bot, or you can do it on a website on your phone or on your laptop by going to fb.me/FBAVoteWeb or fb.me/FBAVoteBot if you want to try the messenger bot. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to try this out. Are people finding it? Are people getting into it? Is it crashed yet? Has anyone voted yet? People seeing pictures? OK, some hands are going up. Is anyone struggling? Anyone having any trouble with the demo? Put your hands up if you're going the bot route. OK, some bot users. Put your hands up if you're not going to take part in the demo. No, you don't have to. It's all right. I'm only joking. OK, so what I want to do, whilst you guys are finishing up with your votes and choosing, I'll honor this. I will actually make whatever you guys vote as the top item my next profile picture. I promise I'll do that. I'll make it my picture on another social network as well, so you can easily see it. So let me switch over to my desktop here. What I want to do for a few minutes while those votes are being counted, so what I'm going to do is show you the results and the activity that you guys just performed in Facebook Analytics. So that gives you a sense of just how real-time this solution is. From you guys voting right here, right now, I'll show you the results in just a few minutes. And whilst we're waiting for you guys to send that data in, I'm going to show you just how easy it was to add the code to do this logging to my website and to my Messenger bot. So what we're looking at here is my very simple JavaScript-based HTML page that you guys just voted on for Vote Web. And you can see here is the code where I'm embedding the JavaScript SDK. Very, very simple. Just cut and paste this from the developers.facebook.com website, and you are good to go. Then, what I do, when you click on one of the voting items, I fire this piece of code. I want to talk you through it here. So I say fb.appevents.logEvent, and I specify the event name that you're firing. And in this case, I called it voted. This is a custom event. But notice, I didn't have to pre-register this. We create these custom events for you on the fly, and you can have up to 1,000 custom events per entity. Then, I wanted to specify a little bit of additional information. So I wanted to say what you were voting for. And to do that, I decided to use a custom parameter. So you can see in this case, I call the custom parameter voted for and specified the choice that you went for. So Rainbow Tears Josh, or whatever your choice was. So that's the website done, instrumented. Very, very easy. That's all I had to do. One thing I will call out is notice that we also call log page view. You should do this on every page in your website. Every page in your website, you should log a page view event, because that makes sure you get accurate user counts, demographics for your whole user base, and can understand how people are moving around your website. Now, let's take a look at the bot. So bots, actually, we harvest the events for you by default for message sent, message received. This is the Facebook platform, so we can do that for you. We automatically capture those events. If you have a Messenger bot, you can today go to Facebook Analytics and actually see your bot's level of chit-chat and messages being sent and received. For Messenger bots, though, you may also want to add some additional information. You may want to add a little bit of extra, more semantic meaning in the events that are being sent. So let me show you how you do that. So this is a Node.js backend. I realize not everyone here is going to be technical, so the technical part of the demo will be very short, but I want to make sure people understand just how little code needs to be written here. So I'm going to find where I make the call. So I call event here, call log event. Looks very similar to the JavaScript code I had on the web page, but this is running on a backend somewhere. And I specify some identity information that's given to me by the Messenger bot. So I pass that back so it knows who it is. I say voted. Notice how I use the same event name. That allows me to do a very effective cross-platform analytics. And then I specify the same custom parameter voted for. That means I'll be able to look at these analytics holistically as though this is almost one platform. A channel is almost just a parameter in this world. So that's how this all works from a technical point of view. Let me go and show you how we can take a look at the votes. So let's switch over to our tool. Here is Facebook Analytics. I'm just going to refresh this page and take a drink whilst it loads. And if I switch, this is my demo run. So I've been doing some practice. You can see there's some demo runs here of me on my own. If I switch the last 24 hours, if everything's working well, we should see a pretty big spike, hopefully, from this audience here taking part in the demo. And actually, we just crossed the 5 o'clock threshold, which is why 344, woo, nice job, cool. So 344 users, you guys just took part in this, and a couple of others in just over the 5 o'clock mark. One, just after 5 o'clock. I can actually split this, as I mentioned, so let's take a look at the channels. How does this break down? And it's actually very split. Look at that, 178 Messenger bot against 183 on the web. That's pretty cool. How easy was that to do? So now what I want to do is actually take a look at how the votes came in and see what misery you guys have imposed on me. So what I'm going to do is create a breakdown. Call it, so a breakdown is sort of like a pivot table. Allows me to pivot the votes and understand what the parameters look like. So I'm going to choose my event. First thing I'm going to do is name my breakdown. I'm going to choose my event, and it's the voted event, because that's what we called the event when we logged it. Then I'm going to choose what parameter I want to break down by, and in this case, it's the voted for parameter. Then I hit save, and hopefully this will load, and will show me the winning profile picture that I have to use now. So it looks like it's a winner. Lasercat Josh was the one that received the most votes with 91 votes. Rocket Josh in a nice close second, and my personal favorite, Hypno Josh, down at 38. So I'm going to honor this. My profile picture will be Lasercat Josh for the next week. And then I'll have to explain that to people, but it's fine. It's a good story. One thing I want you to notice, though, is there's something a little bit weird here. I put protections into the system to stop you voting twice on a single platform. I made it so that you couldn't vote twice on web, and you couldn't vote twice on a bot. Now, I was a little bit lazy. I didn't do anything to stop you switching between those platforms. So I can tell now, because these numbers are off, that there's a count, but a lower number of unique users. Some of you cheated. A few of you voted on both. I know this happened. Now, Facebook Analytics is not in the game of revealing individuals, so it won't help me pinpoint who you are, but it will help me understand how many of you did this. So to show you how I can analyze this now, I'm going to take a look at funnels, and I'm going to create a funnel, and the first step is going to be voted, and the second step is going to be voted. But we're actually going to refine this funnel by clicking this edit button, and I'm actually going to give this stage a name. I'm going to call this voted web parameter device info. What I'm doing is filtering by channel, and I'm going to say, channel. In this case, I'm going to say the web channel. And then I'm going to edit here and say voted bot. Parameter device info. Channel is a bot, a messenger bot. I'm going to apply this. This is literally going to show me how many people, remember this, how many people that did X went on to do Y question. This is going to show me how many people voted on web went on to vote on bot. And it was 13 people in the audience. 13 of you are kind of cheaters. That's pretty cool. Or at least did it that way. What about the other way around? Let's try Let's just drag this over here, put it in that place. Let's apply that and see if anyone did it backwards. And just 2 of you started with the bot and went back to do it on web. But amazing that we could do this in real time using this tool and using the identity graph that Facebook has. We were able to understand which of you were using both devices, even though you didn't log in and there was no Facebook login involved. We were able to understand that in near real time using the solution. So let's switch back to the deck. But thank you for taking part in that, and thanks for making me laser cat, Josh. Can we switch back to the slide? Sorry, thank you. So a couple of things I want to remind you. This product is completely free to use at unlimited scale. We have no maximum number of users, no maximum number of events. And importantly, you don't have to use Facebook login. Now, of course, you should. Facebook login is awesome. I would encourage you to use Facebook login. But you will still get the same reports, the same demographics for users not using Facebook login. The tool will work irrelevant. Now, again, use Facebook login. It's great, but you don't need to. I want to make sure you're aware of that. So one of the best things about working at Facebook is the scale that we get to operate at. It's really humbling. And recently, the team just crossed a huge milestone when we had over 1 million apps, websites, and bots use our solution. Just mind-blowing. One of the best parts about that, and the best parts of events like this at F8, is that we get to talk with and get lots of feedback from customers. And we're a very customer-led team, so we love these conversations. It's what makes us better. It's what helps us make a great tool. And we have had a lot of feedback. Some of it has been high fives, and this is great, and this is awesome, and some of it less so. Some of it, people want more. They like what we've done. They want us to change things. They want things served in a different way. They want to see different capabilities, lots and lots of feedback that helps us decide what we do next, and so we love that. But we've discerned over the last year 3 key themes of feedback that have driven the announcements we've made at F8 today, and I want to talk a little bit about those themes. So the first theme was data sources. I mentioned that we'd shipped web support in September and bot support in November. And this was received very, very well by our users, very well by our community, and I've just shown some of the awesome capabilities we've enabled in the live demo we just did. But people want more. People like this idea of a channel-inclusive, unsiloed analytics platform that is people-centric, as we just demonstrated. So that's a focus for us. Another favorite soundbite of a conversation I had when I was out in Delhi late last year, meeting with a customer. He said, "Josh, we eat breakfast. We eat data for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And your tool is awesome, but it's not given on the plate I want. It's not served up the way I like it. I have to go to different screens all the time. I have to go and check all of these screens. Why can't you allow me to control how I access my data?" So customizability and personalizability is a big theme in the announcements that we're going to share today. And then finally, productivity. We talked earlier about this problem with the sheer volume of data that analysts are having to scour through to find insights. What are we going to do to up-level the tool to help people in that situation? So let's start with data sources. The reason people are excited about this, I've kind of hinted at several times here, is our ability to use the Facebook identity graph, again, in an anonymized and aggregated way, to help you understand real user behavior. If you take the example I gave before of me hunting for my summer vacation using my desktop web browser and the mobile app of a travel company, I was an anonymous user. I was never signed in at this point. To them, they could have thought I was 2 completely different people. But thanks to our identity graph, we can help them see that in reality, these are actually the same person performing this complete journey. And that's why if you believe like we do that understanding user behavior is the key to growth, and you want that complete omni-channel picture of your analytics, this is the solution for you. So we do this for mobile apps, we do it for web, we do it for bots, and starting today, we also do it for Facebook pages. And I'll talk about that in a little more in a few minutes. One of the coolest things we're adding today is also support for offline conversions. This allows me to not only measure my digital channels, but also extend that measurement into physical channels. So if you have a dealership and you have people taking a test drive and you want to understand the interplay between that interaction and people visiting your website or using your mobile app, you can do that with Facebook Analytics. If you want to understand or create a segment based on people making a purchase and understand how that maps with people who like posts on your Facebook page or who perform actions inside your mobile app, you can do this with Facebook Analytics. So let me talk briefly about pages. This is something, I actually see a few familiar faces in the audience that I spoke to at last F8 that asked for this. So this feels pretty good, actually, to be up here talking about this. We will now start providing events for people who react to your post. So that's like, haha, wow, etc. Who comment on your posts on your Facebook page, and who share posts on your Facebook page. And you can group your pages with other assets like your Facebook pixel using these event source groups, which I'll talk about more in a moment. To opt into this, it couldn't be easier. Simply go to your analytics dashboard, go to facebook.com/analytics, and you will see your pages down the left-hand side. You just need to click on them, and from the moment you first try to access Facebook pages, we will start collecting data for that page from you. So you'll see a flat line on your charts, and then it'll pick up from the moment you access the tool. So I'd suggest going trying it out today. Can I do questions at the end? Sorry, thank you. But I will. I didn't hear that, but I will follow up later. So let's talk about offline. So offline, we've had this API since summer last year, primarily for ads attribution. And now we're extending support for the same data source and the same API in Facebook Analytics. So what that means is you can upload a file of your transactions that happen in the physical world, include some additional information, maybe email address or phone number, and where we can match users, we will include them in your analytics data so that you can do this cross-platform, omni-channel analysis, including real-world behavior. So we realize now how important omni-channel is. We've invested heavily in providing new data sources, and we wanted to make it even easier to group your properties together. And that's why we created this new local event source group experience here. So inside Facebook Analytics, you can now go to the app selector on the left, which I'm showing here, click New Event Source Group, create an, it's HypnoJosh, look, create a new, a new ESG, we call them, or event source group. Give it a name. I'm calling this my event source group. I'm going to choose which app I want to put in here, my app. I'm going to choose my pixel I want to combine together. And when I finish this process, all of these assets I've combined together, I will now have a new analytics surface that considers them as one whole, much like we did with the app and the bot. So they're pulled together, the user counts are realistic are measured a union, so I'm not just summing the two users, we're mapping the identity and creating an accurate union between those things. And then I can just view analytics. So this is also a new feature that we've just launched today. So obviously we've been working with a number of partners on this, trying to get this solution just right for you. And one partner that we've been working with is M1 Finance, who give us this great quote about how unique our tool is compared to other analytics because of this ability to draw insights across platforms. These guys have a particular story, actually, where they had a big drop in their funnel between new account creation and first deposit. And they were able to use our tool to drive a round of experiments. There's a classic idea here of you find an insight in analytics, you come up with a hypothesis, you experiment, you measure, and you continue the loop. They were able to drive a 42% increase in conversion thanks to the tools that we were providing to help them do their analysis. That's a no-brainer. That is big impact in terms of change for a product. They've been a great partner. So that's data sources. Pretty cool, pretty big announcement for the day. Next, I want to talk about customization. And we can get through this one quickly because it's just beautiful. Custom dashboards. Starting today, you can now build custom dashboards and have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner served exactly how you like it in your own tailored dashboard available in Facebook Analytics. I don't want to waste time. I just want to show you this feature because it really is stunning. So what I'm going to do is go and create a new dashboard using the tool on the left. I'm going to name my dashboard, unoriginal naming, my dashboard again. I can set the visibility. I can make this just for me, or I can make it for everybody that can see this analytics entity. Now I can go and start pinning charts from active users, revenue, or event screen. I can go in, find the pin icon, and just pin this to my dashboard. So I'm going to pin a couple of charts here. I'm going to pin my active users. I'm also get a little toast notification down at the bottom. I'm also going to pin this completed app sessions, make sure it goes to the right dashboard, hit add to dashboard, and now I will get my beautiful custom dashboard that I can go and see. And here it is. And maybe I don't like the layout. Well, that's no problem. I can expand this section and move this section over here and add as many charts as I like to this. I can even customize these charts and make them focused on a particular segment, a particular date range, or even add multiple events to the same chart. So here I'm adding purchases, so I can always compare my purchases to my active users and keep an eye on the relationship between those two values. I can save those change and go and see that on my fixed custom dashboard. This is one of my favorite features that we've released. It's super awesome. It's beautiful to use, and we know it's going to be a big win for the customers that use us a lot. This is supported for all of the line charts today in Facebook Analytics. We will be rolling out support for more charts over the coming time. OK, so we did customization. Now, what about productivity? So I mentioned that software is eating the world is the phrase, and it's generating so much data in the process of this that people using analytics tools are just overwhelmed. There's a story we tell that we think of as a really great success story for our product, and it was when a customer used our funnels tool, and they were using that split by, that show by function I mentioned earlier, where you can show by app version. They were trying all these different permutations, and they would come and do this on a regular basis, and then one day they tried language. And they saw that a particular language didn't convert as well as other languages. So they had the insight. Then they formed a hypothesis. Maybe this is a bad translation. Maybe this isn't a very good translation. So they ran an experiment. They got a better translation. Then they measured, and they saw an 8% lift in conversion. This is real impact, 8% lift in conversion that easy. And this was a great success story for our product. It was actually one of the case studies we talked about at F8 last year. And it was great that we helped a business grow that way. But it always kind of pained us that this analytics user had to spend that time going through all these permutations, had to spend this time searching for those insights. What if we could use the power of machine learning and artificial intelligence to automatically slice and dice through all of this data, seeking out these insights for you? And then when we see a pattern, when we see an anomaly, we see a trend, we see something of statistical significance, we can serve you these insights in a ranked feed. We call this automated insights, and we think it's the future of analytics. So I want to show you how this looks. This is the dashboard for a particular application, and you need to have over 10,000 daily active users at this point to be you'll be automatically included in the beta, but if you have over 10,000 daily active users, you'll start to see these cards. We will try and drop that level, but at the moment we're trying to tune the system, so we want a reasonable amount of data to work over. We'll give you these insights that give you a clue of what's going on with different parts of your audience. So in this example, we say people using app version 4.14 spent 46% more time in your application per user. That's amazing. That could just be found and surfaced for you. The idea is we're taking the haystack, we're throwing it away, and we're just giving you a handful of needles. And then all you have to scour through is just those needles and go in and analyze them. So we'll show you this popover that gives you more information about the particular segment that you're looking at. And if you click Analyze Segment, we'll actually create a segment that maps that audience for you, and then you can go and explore all the rest of the reports in analytics, demographics, funnels, using that segment to go and investigate this insight more and start to build your hypothesis that will lead to experiment and hopefully your next round of growth. There is a session tomorrow by Lisa Jones and Luke Cernow where they will talk about this in more detail. And Luke is one of the ML engineers. So if you're of a developer mindset and interested in how we built this, he'll be talking about how how Automated Insights, that was the code name for the project I just slipped out there, how Automated Insights was built. So that's a session well worth checking out. So we think these are the first steps on this third wave of analytics. It's people-centric. We don't think of cookies and sessions as our currency. We don't think of devices as our currency. We think of people and counting people that are using our experiences. It's channel inclusive in terms of it can reach your physical, even Facebook, and your digital, even Facebook and your physical channels, such as offline conversion. And it's productivity focused. With automated insights, we think we can boost the productivity of analytics users. This is Facebook analytics for apps, for websites, for bots, for pages, for offline, for everything. Or, to put it more succinctly, this is Facebook analytics. I haven't finished yet. So thank you. I hadn't finished, but thank you. A couple more points. To get started, go to analytics.facebook.com. Go and check out our website. I actually kicked you into it if you did the demo today. Please go and check this out. Go and give it a try, and give us your feedback. We will be in the dev garage. I'll be there for the rest of the day. I'll also be there most of the day tomorrow. The whole team is here. We are really, really keen to hear your feedback and have discussions about how we can help you grow with the power of analytics. Thank you.